Each of these quarterly goals you can kind of look at as a mini or sub-project for whatever your overall project or goal is. Hi there, welcome to my channel. This is Wandering with Jeannie, where we are figuring out how to live our very best lives. So in the last couple of videos, we talked about doing a really good year-end review, and we talked about giving yourself a vision, missions, figuring out what your values are, and setting some SMART goals for the year. So today we are going to tackle step 2 in the process, is taking those SMART goals and breaking them down into quarterly and monthly goals, and then also making sure that you add in to your quarterly and monthly planning the things that you need to do to just keep yourself in your best place possible. So we'll get into all that. Come along, grab a beverage, get something to write with, and let's get into it. So if you, like me, are middle-aged or have just really been on this journey of trying to figure out a plan for any length of time, you may have noticed that when you set goals, they are just that. It's a goal. And something that I brought up in my last video that I think is really, really important is to change your mental thoughts around your goals and understand that your goals are actually projects. And most of us are familiar with how a project works, that a project has an endpoint and that it has a beginning point, and then it has a bunch of steps in the middle, and each of those steps gets you closer to your endpoint. So, for example, if you wanted to write a book report, which is something most of us who are middle-aged have done at some point in our life, you know that writing the book report is the end goal. But there's a bunch of things that you need to happen, typically, before you can write the book report. And you have to pick out your book, you have to read the book, you have to write an outline of your report, write your report, edit your report, turn the report in, and then get a grade. So while writing the book report might be your goal, there's actually a lot more that goes into it. And so anytime you have a goal, it really is true that it's actually a project, and there's going to be a bunch of steps that you need to go through to get to that goal. For our purposes, let's look at the SMART goals that you set in our last video. For each of those goals, I want you to give yourself a deadline. And it's possible a lot of your deadlines will be the end of the year, since we did start out looking at this as a year-long project. However, some of your deadlines may be earlier than a year, or if you're just coming to this content now, you may decide that you want your goals deadlines to be a year from now, which could be in March of 2025 or at some point in the future. In any case, take each of your goals and give it a deadline. Write it on your calendar. Make it, this is when you want your goal to be accomplished. Next step is to figure out how many quarters you have until you need to be done and have your goal accomplished and be at the end of your project. So a quarter, in case you somehow don't know this, is 3 months. So how many 3-month blocks do you have between now and when you want to accomplish your goal? For each of those 3-month blocks, you want to basically chunk your goal into what high-level thing you need to have accomplished at the end of that 3-month block. So each of these quarterly goals you can kind of look at as a mini or sub-project for whatever your overall project or goal is. So let's say your big goal or project is to renovate your kitchen. Now, renovating your kitchen is typically not something that you can just do. And when you're breaking it up into quarterly goals, you may say, oh, well, I want to have my kitchen renovated by the end of the year. Your milestones might be things like researching contractors and getting quotes. Like that might be your milestone for the first quarter. And then booking your contractor might be your milestone for the second quarter. And making the down payment, that might also be a milestone for the second quarter. And then actually getting the work done and making final payment might be your goal for the end of your third quarter. So then that would get your kitchen renovated within 9 months, assuming your contractor works out to plan and everything goes perfectly. So go through this process for each of the goals that you've set yourself for the next year or whatever your goals are. As I said, some of them may not be 12-month and break out into 4 quarters. If your deadline is sooner, you may only have 1 quarter or 2 quarters until your deadline. Whatever that is, go ahead and write your quarterly or mini sub-project goals that you want to have accomplished at the end of each quarter, each 3-month period. So again, with our hypothetical kitchen renovation, maybe we say, okay, so for our first quarter, the goal is to research contractors, get quotes. So now we have a 3-month period where we need to research contractors and get quotes. And that's cool. So let's now break it out into what do we need to have accomplished by the end of each month, so that at the end of 3 months, we can say, yes, we researched contractors and we got quotes, because those things don't just happen. You have to actually there's some more sub-steps to accomplish that overall goal. So in this hypothetical kitchen renovation, let's say for the first month, we are going to set up some Pinterest boards, we're going to get paint swatches and kind of just get some ideas about what we want the finished kitchen to look like, so that when we have the contractors come in, we can tell them, oh, these are the kind of cabinets I think I want, these are the colors I want for paint, this is the countertop that I want. You're telling them what they need to know so they can give you an accurate quote. For the second month, you might want to research some local contractors online. So look at their websites, look at their reviews. Maybe you go to some local Facebook groups or ask your friends, hey, who redid your kitchen, or did you like it? And just sort of get an idea of which contractors you want to actually contact and have them come in. So then the third month in your quarter is where you would then be reaching out to the contractors and saying, hey, I'd like you to come give me a quote. These are the things I'm looking for. And then at the end of the third month, so the end of your first quarter, you should have all of the quotes that you need, so that as you move into the second quarter, you can pick a contractor and make a down payment and get the work booked. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So how do you apply this to your projects? Look at each of your mini projects that you gave yourself, each of your milestones, your goals for the end of each quarter, and break it further down into what you need to have accomplished at the end of each month, so that at the end of the quarter, you will have accomplished that particular goal. I suggest doing this electronically. I am a big fan of electronic calendars. I like Google Calendar personally. I know a lot of people use Microsoft Outlook, and there are lots of other calendars that you can use. Some of them use AI to schedule things for you. I like them because it's very, very easy to reposition things as necessary. You can move things around when you're planning. You can sort of slot things in, see how it looks, and then if you decide that doesn't work for you, it's very easy to move things around. So I like that. Not everybody does. You might decide you just want to use like Post-it notes on a wall or on your desk, so you can move those around until you see how your goals are going to look. There's lots of different ways to do it. Maybe you just like to use a pencil and a piece of paper and write it all out, old school style. That's awesome. You do you. But however it is, you want to actually write it down, because no matter how good you think your memory is, you want to have this stuff written down. It's better for your brain. It's better for accountability. It just really helps you to have everything written down so you know what you're looking at and you don't risk forgetting what you need to do so that you can have your goals accomplished. All the SMART goals that you set for yourself. The next thing, and this is really crucial, is to think about what also is going to take up time for you in the next month and quarter. And there are 3 categories of things that I find that I have to plan time for, because they make my life better, they keep me alive, and they are going to have to happen no matter what. The first one is some kind of a food acquisition and preparation system. Everybody eats, okay? Y'all do. I eat, you eat, we all eat. It's a fact of life. And for a lot of us, that means that we need to plan our menus, go to the grocery store or order groceries. Somehow that food needs to get from where it's made to where we live. and then it needs to be stored, it needs to be prepared before we can eat it, and then a lot of times it also has to be cleaned up afterwards. And all of this stuff takes time, and if you're trying to just squeeze it in or figure it out on the fly, you always feel very rushed, and that's not going to be helpful for you. So I would suggest that you figure out what you want to do for your food system and add that to your calendar, add that to your schedule. Know that on a certain day, you're always going to be planning your menus. At a certain time, that's when you're typically going to be going to the grocery store. Any prep that needs to happen. So for me, like I plan my menus typically on Saturday. I go to the grocery store on Sunday, and then I also have on my calendar, I have blocked off, this is when I'm going to make dinner on Monday, this is when I'm going to make dinner on Tuesday, all of these things. So, point being, I would strongly encourage you to plan and institute a food system in your planning strategy. Make that, especially if one of your goals is to eat healthy or to make any other kind of diet lifestyle change, food-based lifestyle change, you have to plan the time to do all of those things to support yourself in that goal. The second system that I would highly recommend that you put time on your calendar for is your cleaning system. Maybe you have the money and you can hire people to clean for you, in which case, rock on, get on with your bad self. The rest of us, however, we need to keep our spaces clean, and that also takes time, whether it's having to go to a laundromat or just throw things in the washer and dryer, run the vacuum, even if it's setting your robot vacuum cleaner and regularly remembering to empty it. There's some part of the process that takes time that you need to plan for. So make sure you put those things on your to-do list, put them on your calendar, because remember, everything that you do takes time. If you want to do it, it has to have a time assigned to it on your calendar, and then it will happen. If it's just left randomly to whenever, you might get to it or you might not. If you have a time dedicated on your calendar to when you're going to do the thing, it drastically increases the likelihood that you will do the thing. And then the third system that I recommend everyone have is some kind of a fitness system. So decide what you want to do for fitness, and again, put those things, time block them on your calendar. This is when I'm going to go for a run. This is when I'm going to go for a swim. This is when I have yoga. This is when I'm going to meet my friends for a bike ride or go for a hike or do Pilates, whatever it is that you do that feels good for your body for fitness. Even if it's walking the dog, like on my calendar, every day at 8 a.m., I have walk the dog. Like it's on my calendar. I know that's what I do every day at 8 a.m. So your fitness is really, really important for your overall health. It's important for your physical health, your mental health, all of the things. We all know them. Come on, we do. We all know them. So make sure that those have time on your calendar so you know when you're going to do them. If you're curious more about physical fitness, I do have a video on the different aspects of physical fitness. I'm going to try and link it here or there or there. This is the first time I'm going to try and link a video, and if it doesn't work, it'll be in the description box below, so you can go find out about all the different kinds of fitness and the different types of activities you can do to support your body to be as physically fit as you are capable of being. So if it's not clear already, these systems, especially the food, the cleaning, and the fitness, are going to be completely individualized to you. You can listen to me, listen to other people, get ideas, try things. Please, please experiment and try things, because there's so many different ways to accomplish goals and so many different activities you can do, milestones that you can set for yourself, mini goals, sub goals, all these things. So please, get information, get resources, try different things, but ultimately your system, your days are only going to be yours. You need to plan the things that work for you, the things that work for your lifestyle, your current job, your relationships, your schedule, your spirituality, your body. All of these things are incredibly personal and only for you. So you want to come up with a system that works for you. All right. Now, one thing that tends to happen here is as you're planning all of these things, you may come across a little hiccup. And that hiccup is that you may realize you don't have enough time for all the things that you want to get done. And that's okay. That's normal. We all do it. It's totally fine. What you do when that happens is you want to consider what your best option is. It may be that you take your endpoint for your project, your goal, and move it further out into the future so that you can make your individual milestones smaller. or just move the whole project further out into the future. Like say, I'm not going to do that in 2024. I'm going to do that in 2025. Another option is you may decide as you're looking at this that certain things just aren't really a priority for you right now. And if they're not a priority for you, then you can just delete that goal. Just erase it. It's gone. Don't worry about it. Ta-da! Once you've gone through this process for all of the goals, as I said, things are going to come up. You're going to have to make changes, and that's totally normal. And having an electronic calendar, having any kind of a plan makes it so much easier when things do come up for you to move things around and make the changes so that you can stay on track, because you'll know what you already did, you'll know what you still need to do, and you can figure out how to move things around so that you can still accomplish your goals even when things get crazy. So speaking of life getting crazy, I do have another video, what I call the 8 corners of life and putting your life's puzzle together. Again, I'll try to find a card or a link, or it'll definitely be in the description box below, about how I think of life as having 8 corners of and being a giant puzzle. And when your life puzzle gets tossed, you need to start putting the pieces back together. So if you're interested in learning more about that, check out my other video. In our next video, we will be taking this from the quarter and monthly level and looking at weekly and daily level planning and how we're going to break things down into smaller and smaller chunks so that we always know what we're going to do on a day-to-day basis, and it's in accomplishable bite-sized pieces. So again, thank you so much for watching. I absolutely love every single one of you who are checking out my videos. Please do hit the like button, subscribe, and that really helps YouTube know what kind of content I'm putting out, what kind of people might be interested in it, and it'll push it out to them too. So it really does help everybody to hear my message about how they can be living their best lives. Again, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.